Look, I think that there's people in just relationships that were together 20 years. They can't even stand to be in the same room with each other. So that's just basically relationships outside of sports. There's always going to be certain things that come into play when you're talking about players, evaluating players, aging players. And I mean, Keyshawn knows this. He was with Parcells. Like, there's a certain way that they evaluate a player over time. And statistically, when you're a coach for a very long time, you're able to look at age groups. You know, a linebacker at 33 years old, a running back over 30, a quarterback in their 40s. Like, usually history and Mother Time always win, right? So when you look at the things that Tom has been able to do, it's been outstanding where he's at right now and the career that he's had. Winning a Super Bowl last year, I think, gives him that platform to say, see, I won a Super Bowl. Look, it's the things that I'm doing here. And, you know, when you talk about Mike Reese and the time, and 20 years is a long time in one spot. I mean, it's rare that we see quarterbacks, basketball players, baseball players be in one location for 20 years. So you talk about the ups and downs that go into having a 20-year relationship with somebody. There's always going to be issues that you got to
it's unprecedented
overcome.
in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Rob,
So
hadn't been up there and playing with the Pats and seeing everything firsthand. Did you feel like at all, based on what like Alex Guerrero said about the treatment of Tom, did you see anything that was like, well, he's treating Tom bad compared to other players, or Tom has it good?
I think the way that a player in a certain team is treated, you know, the one thing I would say about Bill is if Tom made a mistake, he would make sure that Tom knew that he made a mistake. Yeah. And if a rookie or a third or fourth year player made a mistake, he wouldn't treat me differently than Tom. Or if I made a missed tackle or had a mental error on a defensive play, he would call me out. Just like if you're Tom Brady and you're a Hall of Fame football player and you've won many Super Bowls, he's going to make sure that he knows that there's a mistake. So when you can treat somebody the same, no matter if you're a first-year or a 20-year player, I think it sets an example for the team that there's nobody that's going to be treated differently on the roster.
But should he have treated Tom differently based on what Alex Guerrero said?
I think that the difference in coaching a player versus how you treat somebody physically are two different things. Like, I think that you coach a player, a first-year player or a 20-year player, a coach is supposed to coach. And Bill coaches everybody a certain way. And if you don't like it, he's going to say, look, I'm going to coach you hard. That's what I'm here to do. I'm going to get the best out of each player. That's my job. Now, physically, should a 20-year veteran be squatting and doing certain things? Like, you know this. Like,
no!
You have to change the way you prepare your body as you get older. And I would say that myself as in a perfect example, I knew it was time. I need to start thinking about my next career here, because I knew one rep maxes and running my 40 and 5.10.5. I was like, yeah, this thing ain't looking so good now. I'm getting pretty old. I feel it, right? So should they have let Tom do the TB12 thing? Of course, he was. You know, like Tom was doing the TB12 thing, but I think that there was an issue with, you know, we've seen it. We've seen it. It's been out there in public that the TB12, and I personally, as a linebacker or a D lineman or an offensive lineman, it's hard to do that type of training when you're hitting somebody every play. Tom could get away. A pitcher, maybe, you know, basketball players, some guys that are flowing and you know, they're handling the ball or they're throwing a ball, they can do that type of training. But like, if you need to lift weights if you play linebacker. Like, it's just, that's what you have to do.
Let me ask you about that training. Was there any confusion in the locker room when Alex Guerrero had a chance to be in there? Because obviously his style of training or his style of, you know, performance,
it's more tissue work. They do like, but TB12 is tissue work.
Okay, but is that different than what the Patriots organization actually wanted for their players, and did that cause any friction?
I think that the issue would be is if a linebacker, for example, said, I don't want to squat. You know, like, that could be a problem because you need to have a certain level of leg strength. And not saying that Tom's or the TB12 method doesn't do any leg work, they don't put the weight on your back, which certain age groups, you know, for me, I don't want to put a bar on my back right now. Like, neither do you. You don't want to put, you know, a bar back on your back. That don't feel good. But when you're a developing, like, first, second, third year player, say you're a little bit undersized, you need to get bigger. You need to get stronger. And you might see a veteran that's not doing that stuff. And you might think, well, look, I could get to where he's at without doing that. But that's not the case, because certain players at certain points of your career, you have to do different things. Like early in my career, I had to get stronger. I had to be bigger. I had to gain 10 pounds. If at the end of my career, you learn the game upstairs and you can understand, okay, I can put my body in this position. I can play this spot. I can do this. I can do that. So when you're younger, you're trying to develop those skills, but that comes, you know, doing the right things in the weight room, getting stronger, getting bigger, getting faster. And then as you're older, you can realize, hey, maybe this Monday, I don't think I'm going to squat.
Sounds like the answer to your question, Jay, is yes.
Yes.
It sounds like there was
Bill
some
wasn't
friction
having it.
along
Yeah.
that's
But
a
you
good
just don't,
description of why.
You can't have two philosophies
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
on how to be an athlete.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.